Alex here. So we have our Sandbox goofbox ready to update to 22.5. So here I have the 2 of 10 and 3 of 10 zip files downloaded from Oracle support. Unzipping them, speeding things up a little bit. You only need the 2 and 3 of 10 file, or we only need that because we have language packs, ENU and non-ENU, so we need 2 and 3, but no other files are needed. So I've already started the installer here, the usual way, and now this is an update situation. We have installed 22.4 and now we're updating to 22.5, so we can just select the home. And on the SES home, you will get this one, the post-installation database update options. Post-installation database update is mandatory, so you have to fill these in. It cleans some of the values from the installation UCF file that is found in the Siebel server bin. Let's fill in the passwords and verify the ODBC data source name here. So it must be a valid 32-bit ODBC data source. And in system DSN, indeed, there is the same ODBC data source. And if you have multiple languages, like here, make sure to select these languages before I click next, and then double check that they are actually listed in other languages. Otherwise, they don't make their way. The C data, etc. import will not import the language-specific stuff. So, due diligence, we save a response file. Maybe we can reuse that response file when we update to 22.6 or anything after that. And well, let's hit install. So this will kick off the binary copy. First takes a backup, then copies over the binaries, and we're speeding things up here, so this takes a few minutes. And you will notice after the binaries have been copied, that post-installation setup, if you have not selected to skip it, is starting on the SES update. Also, a bit of a frenzy here. Because it's a Windows machine, actually has installed a new Tomcat or 2 new Tomcats. We have a co-located directory here, so it essentially is starting up the enterprise, which I honestly don't understand. It's pretty premature. We're just about to apply mandatory updates to database, and the enterprise already starting. So what I'm doing here is just more or less killing the Siebel server, making sure that none of these processes are actually running. Your mileage might vary a lot here, but it's a nuisance, annoying behavior of that installer on Windows to actually start the services in some situations, sometimes not, but on my Sandbox machine or this configuration is starting up. So a post-install database update is, as the name suggests, a database operations. You don't need a running Siebel Enterprise. So again, I'm just stopping the final piece here. Yeah, good. Zookeeper has to be stopped as well. And let's take a look at these Tomcat services. So they're also set to automatic, so I set it back to manual, stop the service, don't need it right now. Repeat for the other Tomcat. Make sure to watch the other videos if you're jumping in right here. This is a single machine stack, so that's why we have external and internal Tomcat on the same machine. And post-install database update, most of the time you see this siebdev CLI executable doing stuff like importing zip files, applying schema, incremental table publish and all sorts of things happen. And eventually it will complete, hopefully successfully. And there is a report. So let's check out that report. Oh, closing the installer. And in the Sieb server log directory, so go to your Siebel server installation folder, Sieb server log. This is where we can find an HTML report. So let's open that, and there are plenty of other log files you might want to inspect. But if you have a green blob here on the top right, successful execution, basically all good. We are curious, so let's pop up these accordions and see, okay, there's everything seems to be in order, like it has a good status, and the schema upgrade is done successfully. Workflow upgrade. This is the first time we run post-install database update on this database, so it has done all the necessary bits. These schema manifest and seed are unfortunately empty. Not sure why. It's definitely not as it should be, so we can't get any more information out of that, except that, well, everything seems to be in order and we hope for the best. So the mandatory post-install database update seems to be completed successfully for the first time on this database. It was installed on 22.4. And to finalize the update of the Siebel server here on this Windows machine, we need to reconfigure, or actually configure the new Apache Tomcat services. So you copy that path from the service, and before you run it in the command line, make sure to edit it to ES instead of RS and Tomcat 9W. And then you get a dialog, and here you can, well, set the memory, initial and maximum memory pool to the values you desire, because the default values are quite ridiculously small and you will get in trouble. So this has to be done on any Windows update. Until now, the time of this recording, it still happens. So we repeat that for the second Tomcat. Oops, closed one too many. Okay, there we go. And again, your mileage will vary here, but 2 GB is very okay for a goof box like we have here. Okay, so Tomcat's taken care of. What other services do we need to take care of? In one of the prior videos, you see the debug server being set up, and also devpops. So devpops brings a postload.js file which overrides the vanilla postload.js file. Now this is not very elegant, but has to be done. And so make sure that actually the custom folder is preserved by the upgrade, but the vanilla postload is not preserved. So this is in scripts, and we just can open it and see it has, well, the original vanilla content, and we replace that with the postload delivered by devpops. So refer to the playlist. The link to the playlist is in the description. Refer to the playlist if you're not sure what you're looking at here. So again, we have made customizations to a standard file. This is not a good idea, and devpops is just educational. And just to make bring devpops to life again, we have made sure the custom postload.js is in place, and the debug service should be fine on an update from 22.4 to 5, but a restart just verifies that, so it can be successfully started. So it has survived the atmospheric re-entry here of going to 22.5. All right, and since this is a goof box and we want to, well, goof around with Siebel, we also apply the non-mandatory repository upgrade. It's in Siebel server bin, and just running it without parameters gives you the parameters. And now we can run it with the correct parameters. So this first one is the path to the Siebel server, followed by the table owner. The table owner user is the same, table owner password. The ODBC data source, let's copy paste that. So let's reuse the same data source we have been using. Then there's the database type, the user as admin password. Now the table space and index space, maybe good idea. Just make very sure we have the correct table space names. Let's find the setup.ini. That's the file that post-install database setup generates, and it has that information. So here we have the index and table space name. So I'll just copy pasting here for safety. Index space. What else is required? The SSE role, funny enough. And the additional languages. Make sure you add your additional languages here, comma separated, if you have additional languages. Like we have DEU here for German. Let's get ready to run this. So just want to watch it in Task Manager. And this is going to take a very long time. I have to be very patient because we just in prior videos you can watch a new installation of the 22.4 database. And this is the first repository upgrade on that database. So it actually thinks that this is a 17.0 repository content, and thus goes and applies all the available repository upgrades since 20.3 when the whole thing started with the repository upgrade. So that's a lot for this machine to do. You will see siebdev CLI, the database being very busy, and you will see imports. And finally, after a long time, so this is high-speed version, you have hopefully success message, and you have a log file. So here's the repository upgrade log file. Again, we watch out for the green blob here, wrong version number, let's not care. And you get some information as to which objects have been imported. Unfortunately, the list stops hard at some version like 21.10. I'm not sure if it ran out of space or ran out of HTML or whatever. Yeah, that's the way it is. So the green thing in the report suggests everything went A-OK. And so there was seed data, manifest data, and repository and schema data imported. And the repository data is in an integration workspace, still waiting to be delivered. So we are now done with the SES update, having applied the non-mandatory repository upgrades. And now let's update Siebel Tools. Again, you start the setup batch file as administrator from the installer. And then we go about and update Siebel Tools, select the home. And there's not much to do here other than click Next and install and wait a few minutes until it's complete. And while it runs, let's check out the tools CFG file in bin ENU, because we will use Siebel Tools to deliver workspace. And the symbolic string prefix needs to be the standard SBL, because Oracle injects some symbolic strings with the SBL prefix. So make sure you have that symbolic string prefix set correctly, SBL underscore. Save the CFG file. Installer is finished already. Okay, that was quick. And we are ready to launch Siebel Tools. And let's check out the workspaces. So you will find, after a repository upgrade, an integration Siebel update integration workspace, which has delivered all the necessary stuff. So these are, because it was a big one from 20.3, and it's merged. So it only has the necessary insert and updates, but still a lot of objects. 22.5 brings a lot of new applets, classes, and for those dashboards views we'll check out in a moment. So what you have to do is, if you want to deliver this into main, open and submit that integration workspace, and then deliver it. You could be forced into rebase. We are not on this system. We haven't done much. And so we can deliver it. Again, lots of objects here. Be patient. We are speeding this up and we're done. So now our main workspace has all the repository content that Oracle delivers up to 22.5. And that's a great thing. We have all these fancy data visualization applets and dashboard views, and that's what we want to see here. So yeah, let's start the engine. So we have a little script starting up all the services and speeding things up, ready to log into call center. And let's just verify technical support. Yes, we are on 22.5 binary application version and 22.5 repository version. This number only gets increased when you do a repository upgrade, which we just did. So we are on the latest repository. 22.5, for example, has some features in the migration application. So let's check it out in the history. Yes, we have a query and delete button. This is just proof that the update to 22.5 was fine. Okay, there's no history here in that database, but that's fine. The feature is there. So another proof. And now what we're going to do is enable the financial services object manager. So what I'm doing here with this little script is deactivating all the unnecessary comp defs, unnecessary for me, all except the financial services object manager for ENU. So I have a server manager command line here. I just run these commands. So deactivating comp defs has the benefit the Siebel server doesn't really know about them and doesn't try to start them up. You alternatively can set them to manual. So, and finally, we enable and assign the fins comp group, component group to the server and restart the server. This is a high-speed version. That will take a few moments to restart the Siebel server. So here I'm just speeding up things. Siebel server start. And speeding up. So Siebel server has started. And now we have a new object manager running, the financial services object manager. And go to the application interface profile in the SMC, edit it. The one that's used by your AI. So we can add a new application entry if you don't have it. So copy one of the existing ones and rename it to fins. ENU is fine. And the new object manager is available in the combo box. It's a good sign that it's healthy. If you don't see it, it's not healthy. And now let's well, let's modify the, first, because we have devpops installed. Here you see me adding the 2 devpops business services to the financial services application in the application user prop called client business service with consecutive numbers. So we have done that in a previous video for call center, for universal agent, and now we do it for financial services. And we deliver these changes before we go into financial services. And to what we want to do is, of course, we want to check out these great new dashboards that exist in 22.5 and later. So here I'm just delivering the tiny workspace where I set the application user props for devpops. Make sure to check out the playlist and check out the prior videos if you're not sure what devpops is. So now I'm in financial services, go to contacts, and the database is pretty empty. So I'll go about to create a test contact. Now, let's call it test contact. And let's add an address. So no address here. Let's make an address up. So, okay, we got an address for this contact. And now drill down. So this is financial services, drill down on the contact. And the very last view, so Oracle added it to the end of the list, is the new financial services dashboard. And there it is in all its no data available gloriness. Of course, there's no data. That's a fresh contact. So let's add some data. Click on the link for open requests. So one feature of those infolets is a drill down. Let's create 2 or 3 service requests. Yeah, so keep them open because that's the search spec. It looks for open service requests for that contact. So another one. Okay, that's enough, Alex. And go back to dashboard, and the dashboard should, okay, now show 3 open service requests. And in the timeline, since the timeline by default shows service requests, you see them at 2. And you can add activities through the plus button. So let's add a birthday call. And this activity should show up in the timeline as well. So the timeline can show different entities, and the financial services dashboard supports 3 entities, and you can of course customize that. So you can filter them. There are toggle buttons for each entity. Opportunities, we don't have any. You could create, you could create any more data, including household data for that hierarchy. But we want to keep things short. So final task on this Goofbox update is update DISA. So exit the old DISA version. And if you follow this playlist, you know we have test automation set up on this machine. And I want to make sure that for the test automation playback, we have the latest DISA version. So it's not mandatory unless you use test automation. Then it's highly recommended or often mandatory to get the corresponding DISA version. So the new DISA installer finds the old version and goes about to uninstall it. Oh, it actually uninstalls it and reinstalls it somehow. And takes a few minutes, then it's done. So one thing that the wizard does not take care of, it doesn't restart DISA, and it does not update the unit config XML for the test automation. So go to your DISA folder, plugins, test automation, find the unit config XML. And that has some, vanilla URL from Oracle there. So you have to, you should enter your real URL there. You can change it at runtime, but it's just a default value. But let's be diligent and change this back to the value it previously had. Okay, change is saved. So now, final steps, we want to start DISA. I want to see it in action. So DISA is starting up fine, 22.5. Go to call center, and while we set up test automation, recorded some scripts. Let's see if there are any temporary scripts. Nope, not there. So let's go to sitemap. So make sure, go to the playlist, link is in the description. Watch the videos for test automation. If you're not sure what's going on here, we have updated to 22.5. We want to make sure the test automation playback works. So here we have recorded test scripts, and just pick one, drill down, and the play button being green is a good indicator that we have communication with DISA, and hitting play, and this dialog is a good indicator that DISA is operational, because that dialog is displayed by DISA. But we go full circle, so let's run a quick test run. So this is DISA using Selenium, browser driver, and Google Chrome to play a script. That script creates an account record, probably. It's just a test script. And since the playback is already working, we know that DISA 22.5 is healthy and operational. Let's wait for the final report here. Should be a few moments more. When we see the report, we're done with our update to 22.5. Congratulations.